Flooding rains are likely in portions of our area this week, and when the European model is trying to develop a tropical disturbance in the Caribbean. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here with you at Meteo Mundo on this Sunday afternoon. I hope you've had a great day. Thank you to all of those who joined me last night for our live stream. We'll be doing more and more of those deeper into the tropical season that we get. Coming up in this video, we'll talk about what's happening across our area on this Sunday. We're going to look at your 5-day rainfall forecast that does include that rich surge of tropical moisture with some potential flooding rains for a fair amount of our area, and yet more tropical potential activity to discuss even into the next week ahead. So as we get started, thank you so much for liking the video. We'll start off with what's going on right now in the Northwest Bahamas on this Sunday afternoon, where the reason why I did the live stream last night is because we had a severe thunderstorm warning for Grand Bahama. Well, guess what? Earlier this afternoon, we had another severe thunderstorm warning for Grand Bahama and Abaco. These storms are still very, very active right now over Walker's Key, Grand Bahama, places like Weston and Freeport, Lucaya, moving off towards the east, towards the Abaco area. I would check in with the Bahamas Department of Meteorology if you live in this area. Potentially another severe thunderstorm warning could be issued. Certainly we're going to see some gusty winds, some extremely heavy rainfall, a ton of lightning. You are looking at our live lightning count. Look how just over the last couple of hours that has peaked up, I guess maybe somewhere near 700 lightning strikes at its most, or even over that. Very intense storms in the far northwest Bahamas. You get as far south as Andros and New Providence and Eleuthera, and they're kind of looking north going, what are you talking about, Rusty? We don't really have much. It's been very concentrated in the areas that I've already mentioned. We'll take a look how this plays out coming up in just a couple of minutes. Let's go over right now to my friends in Jamaica. Hey, we're trying to get you guys a little bit of rain on this Sunday afternoon. I got to tell you, it's very isolated in nature right now. Temperatures are still hot, upper 80s to the lower 90s, but in the last couple of frames, we've had a little bit of cloud coverage and 1 or 2 lightning strikes develop. You can see that right there on the western sides near Savannah Lamar and just off towards the west of the Westmoreland Parish area, some of the higher and hillier terrain of the western side of the island. Everyone could see a brief shower for today, but if you catch one of these showers that's drifting southeast towards Mandeville and Maypen, consider yourselves pretty lucky. Now, that being said, Jamaica is one of the areas that I'm going to be monitoring closely for the potential for some very heavy rainfall coming up later in the week. Another area for sure is going to be Hispaniola, with isolated showers developing right now over Haiti and the Dominican Republic. It's not much, but again, we don't need a lot of rain in this area for the most part, especially with what I believe is coming here in just a few days. Saw a little isolated storm develop right over the Samana area there, just off the east coast of the Dominican Republic. But generally speaking, it's been kind of the northern sides of Haiti, some of the higher mountainous terrain. Hey, guess another area that's seen a few storms today. It's our friends in Puerto Rico, where once again, it's been relatively wet. That being said, it has been drier than what it has been at least lately. We've had a few storms develop, but they have quickly dissipated. And I can't rule out a passing shower for St. Thomas and St. Croix and St. John and Roadtown and Tortola there in the British Virgin Islands, but it's a quieter forecast for today. And again, it certainly has been on the warmer side. There's a heat advisory, as a matter of fact, for San Juan right now. It's quite steamy outside. It's steamy and relatively dry for the northern Leeward Islands, Anguilla and St. Martin, St. Bartholomew, Saba, St. Eustatius, Barbuda, Antigua, St. Kitts and Nevis, all generally a dry forecast, even down towards Montserrat. But we're starting to see some moisture come back into places like Guadeloupe and areas off towards the south. I want to put the temperatures back on because, again, it's pretty clear to see when we have a shower pass by. Dominica on the south side dropped down to 82. It's good to get rain in some of these areas. We've been very dry, so our friends in Guadeloupe and Dominica, and again, you live in these areas, drop it in the comment section below. Let me know if you had one of these passing showers. We've had passing showers for Martinique and St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Barbados at least has had a few isolated showers pass by. You see Bridgetown temperature drop down to 84 in the heat of the day, letting me know there's at least been a few clouds and a couple of isolated showers there. Grenada, again, a little bit cooler in the afternoon. And here you go, Trinidad and Tobago. I mentioned it in the last few videos, that surge of moisture from the south to at least help out the rain chances, and that has panned out. We've had more rain in Trinidad for today. We've had a few showers in Tobago, and we continue to see richer, more abundant moisture from the south try and work its way into Trinidad and Tobago. So the rain chances there are going to stay decently high for the next couple of days, despite the fact we have our Saharan dust layer. ABC Islands are high and dry for today. I'm not extremely concerned about that area because, again, that's another spot where I think we could see some very heavy rainfall in short order. Belize has been able to catch a few showers for today in spots, and if nothing else, some extra cloud coverage for today. So look when I put the temperatures on what that has done. San Ignacio today, just 91 degrees after hitting 108 yesterday. And even Belize City has come down again. May not be a ton of showers there, just some lighter passing showers, but some cloud coverage really helping things out. More storms along the Pacific coast towards El Salvador, and a few areas in the western side of Nicaragua and Honduras has had a couple of spotty showers and storms, but there's been a lot of hot and dry locations in those areas. That's how it plays out for our friends in Cancun and Cozumel and in the Cayman Islands as well. Hot, dry temperatures there that are in the lower 90s. Okay, we're going to get into what's going to be happening here with our storm systems and our moisture coming up in just 1 second. The first thing I want to touch on is the Saharan dust layer, because again, that's what's happening right now. And there's a very thick layer over a good portion of the Leeward Islands. Those are the brighter colors that you see, especially from Guadeloupe off towards the south. Now, despite the fact that we have the Saharan dust layer, we are getting some rain in that area, but the dust layer is still suppressing some of that moisture. We would have probably more widespread and heavier rain if the dust layer wasn't present, but it is going to be sticking around. So those respiratory sufferers, please keep that in mind. And again, that dust layer will push off towards the west and towards the ABC Islands, but again, negated somewhat, if you will, by all that rich, abundant moisture that's going to be coming back into play. So as we get into a look at our rainfall and some of the areas I think could see some flooding rain potential, thank you so much for liking this video. If you've been looking for your daily forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, and of course the tropical outlooks as well, you found your home here at Meteo Mundo. Thank you for subscribing. I always love to hear from you guys. Again, a question about the forecast, drop it in the comment section below, and just let me know where you're viewing from and what the weather has been like in your area. All right, so we're going to go over a lot of different models, a lot of different things to talk about here. The first I want to look at is just the rainfall over the next 5 days, just like we always do here at Meteo Mundo. You're looking at the GFS model. We'll look at several different models. But again, I want to point out that we continue to see this plume of moisture develop off the coast of South America and work its way to the north. The models have been very consistent in bringing this into our area, and now it's on the doorstep of developing, friends. Again, today is the 19th, so tomorrow is Monday, the 20th, and we start to see some of that develop late Monday and into Tuesday, and that surge of moisture comes in Tuesday and into Wednesday. So our friends in these areas need to get prepared over the next couple of days for what could be some extremely heavy rain and a long duration rain event. Now, the first thing I want to point out is how wide this trough axis is going to be, called a shear axis. Basically, there's a ton of moisture coming in. I do not expect a surface area of low pressure to develop in the Caribbean, okay? This is not going to be a wrapped up system. If we're going to get a surface low, it will more than likely develop in the Western Atlantic as it moves away from our area. So at least we're not going to have the wind threat. You shouldn't be hearing about the surface low developing south of the islands. But that being said, one of the issues is when this stays a kind of weaker trough, take a look at how wide this moisture axis could be. If I can get this thing to draw, there we go. Look at this, guys. You're looking at over 850-mile wide plume of moisture coming in from Jamaica all the way to the US and British Virgin Islands. Could have very heavy, potentially flooding rains. So it's going to be a widespread heavy rainfall event. There's going to be some wind as well, but nothing as concentrated if we had some kind of actual tropical disturbance in an area of surface low pressure. And again, this is the GFS model. It is now far enough west where Jamaica comes into play, certainly Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, portions of the Leeward Islands, and then into the Turks and the Caicos. So that's the next 5 days. If I expand this out a couple more days for us here, just so you guys can get an idea of what happens, when I expand this out, you're going to see that this system does try and wrap up a little bit more just south of Bermuda. Now, it opens up because there's some drier air coming in from the west, but if we're going to get a surface low, it would more than likely develop right here, but continue to move away. So, again, we're not going to get a true tropical system. We're not going to get a tropical depression, at least a tropical storm in this area. We'll see what happens to the north. But the heavy rainfall threat is going to be a very, very big concern. When we look at the winds associated with this as well, again, there is going to be a bit of a wind field coming in. It's not going to be very tight and wrapped up, but because you're talking about in a very elongated trough, the winds, again, are going to be fairly widespread. They're going to be in that 20 to 30, maybe 35 mile an hour range in gusts, and these are wind gusts. These are not sustained winds. But again, you can clearly see here, there's no true wrapping up, and even if this thing did, the GFS really has its center of circulation going right over Hispaniola. You can see the disruption of the wind field right there as we get into Thursday. So again, timing kind of moving in late Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then moving away. And you can see once it gets north of the islands, it might try and do just a little bit of a spin up. The GFS model, some of the ensemble members do have an area of low pressure. Most of the European model ensemble members do not, okay? Again, it's really more about the heavy rain event. We can look at the vorticity. And again, this is going to be the true spin in the atmosphere. So we're looking at, as this comes in, how much spin are we going to have? And the GFS has gotten a little bit stronger with that spin and also a little bit farther off towards the west. I mean, just a little bit here. So I'm going to let this loop up. And this just says, is there going to be a twist, a rotation in the atmosphere? Not at the surface, but a little bit higher than the surface. It's just taking all this moisture, guys, from South America and is driving it up to the north. It really is going to be a very, very hefty rainfall event. I don't want to show you that just yet. The next thing I want to show you here with this system is the European model, okay? So, sorry about that. Let me get back to that. Take myself off camera is what I wanted to do. So you're looking at the European model, okay? And I want you to notice where the heaviest rain is going to be in the European model. It's fairly close to the GFS. It's slightly a little bit to the west. It brings in a little bit more of Jamaica into play, but some heavy rainfall, and you're looking at, again, rainfall totals over 4 to 6 inches in some spots here, would include Haiti, the Dominican Republic, the eastern tip of Cuba, portions of Puerto Rico, maybe trying to spare the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands and the Leeward Islands with an excessive amount of rain, and then portions of the Turks and Caicos as well. Again, that's what the European model looks like as far as rainfall totals. I'll let that loop up one more time, and then we'll get over to the areas of concern. All right, and let's kind of break down these regions. The ABC Islands I have on the list simply because you guys are near the origin of where all this moisture is going to develop. It will more than likely be heavier north of you, but you could get rounds of heavier rain coming through. For Jamaica, again, especially the eastern side of Jamaica, but Jamaica should be beginning to prep for the possibility of some heavier rain beginning late Tuesday and into Wednesday. Haiti and the Dominican Republic for sure, kind of in the bullseye of all the models that we've been looking at. Puerto Rico, same situation, the opportunity for some heavy flooding rains moving in by midweek. U.S. and British Virgin Islands should certainly be on alert as well. Portions of the Leeward Islands on the far eastern side, it's an area I'll monitor. Not as concerned for the Leeward Islands, the ABC Islands, and then we'll see what happens with the Turks and the Caicos, whether that moisture surges north or pushes a little bit east of the islands, but certainly the Turks and Caicos and all these areas just need to understand that there's the possibility of some extremely heavy rain moving into your area as we get into late Tuesday, but especially on Wednesday and Thursday. So this is the GFS model. We're back to that. And we're looking at where we could possibly see some of this heavier rain. Again, boy, the GFS model, it's just offshore of Jamaica. The trend has been for the GFS model to expand the heavy rain field and bring it farther west. So it wouldn't shock me by the time this thing starts to move across the Southern Caribbean, whether we start to see the GFS model have some of that heavier rain over the island. But again, my friends in Jamaica, you can be prepared for that tropical moisture to surge off towards the north. Let me also do this real quick as well. I'm going to take this time frame out just a couple more days because I want to make sure we get the entire event on here. All right. That way we can carry it through the Turks and Caicos as well. So obviously, again, we turn our attention to what might be happening in portions of Hispaniola and Haiti. What's very interesting is look at the rainfall totals it tries to bring up towards the coast. Maybe we disrupt the wind fields a little bit, but you can see that surge right over Punta Cana. So very heavy rain. I don't want to start talking about totals yet, but I do want to give you guys an idea of what the models are showing. And again, the GFS model does start to kind of cut things off. So St. Thomas, St. Croix. So I'm not as concerned for the Northern Leeward Islands as of now. But obviously, if this were to shift just another 50 miles off to the east, you guys would be in that envelope of heavier rain. And as I mentioned, for the Turks and Caicos, Cockburn Town, more than likely, much better chance for heavier rain compared to Matthew Town, but it's all relative. And then you can see that heavy rain drive up to the north as well. So some significant rainfall is likely with this event. Let me get back over to our model. And again, this is going to be the GFS, and I've already shown you the European. Since we have a minute, what do you say we take a look at the NAM model as well? Now, this one doesn't go as far out in time, but it's going to, again, give you another idea of what one of the other models is showing. Then I want to get into what could be happening next week. All right, so again, we'll call this basically system number one. So the NAM model is going to take a second to kind of develop here. And I've looked at all this behind the scenes, and they're all in fairly good agreement, guys, okay, with just plume of moisture coming up, and anywhere from Jamaica north and east is going to have to contend with the potential for some very heavy rain. Now, again, I don't want to leave things out, but obviously the Leeward Islands aren't going to be directly impacted by this. We're going to still get some passing showers for Trinidad and Tobago in this scenario, but obviously the main concern and focus is going to be on these areas here. So this is the NAM model, and you can see it's fairly in a good agreement with the GFS. I would say, again, anywhere from Jamaica off towards the east. So I wanted to show you guys that as well. Let's get back over to the GFS model because I don't want to leave out some of the other areas here. We're going to take a look at that real quick. So I'm going to put that back into motion. And again, let me cover some of the areas that I haven't implicitly covered yet. For the remainder of the Leeward Islands, all the way down to Trinidad and Tobago, again, a little bit more moisture down here. Going to have a slightly better opportunity to see a few passing showers. Now, it's still going to be spotty, but we'll have that opportunity. Again, the Saharan dust layer is still in play. Barbados, a couple of passing showers. For Central America, when you get towards Honduras and Nicaragua and Belize and the Yucatan there, an isolated spotty shower is possible there. Again, our Pacific system never developed, so we aren't going to get the moisture surge from the west. We could get a few areas of moisture coming in kind of on the western periphery of that center of circulation. As you can see it move by, again, not a closed area of low pressure at the surface, but a very broad spin along our trough. But again, even as far west of the Cayman Islands, it's relatively dry. And after the storms tonight in portions of the Bahamas, we're also going to be mainly dry as well. Okay, so back to the big perspective here. And now I want to take this model and we're going to go all the way out to basically the end of May. All right, I want you to look down in the Southwest Caribbean. That's system number one pulling its way through a lot of the greater Antilles. We still have our same wind pattern here. We still have favorable area of developing more tropical moisture. And this is the next system that we're going to be looking at. You're looking at the GFS model, by the way, right now, okay? And the GFS model shows a little area of interest in the Southwest Gulf of Mexico, Southwest Caribbean. But let me show you the European model, okay? The European model for a chance of a tropical depression in the Southwest Caribbean on May 29th is in some areas between 30 and 50%. It does not have anything with system number one as far as chance of a depression or a storm or anything like that. But again, 10 days from now, this region I'll have my eyes on, because even the European modeling, and a lot of you say, hey, I like the European model better, is beginning to paint on that potential in the Southwest Caribbean. A lot going on in that area, a lot going on across our region. You know I got you covered. You can cover Meteo Mundo through all social media, friends. Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, mymeteomundo@gmail.com. Got a picture or video to send me any business inquiries. Once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for liking this video. Please share this page with your family and friends if you think they'll get something out of it, especially again, as our tropical season begins to ramp up here in late May. Thank you for subscribing. If you want the latest forecast across the Caribbean, the Bahamas, you have a great rest of your Sunday. I'll see you tomorrow, friends, right here at Meteo Mundo.